Was that part of the?
He spoke more to you guys than he speaks to me. So
was that from the start, Coach, to put him in right with the ones and kind of throw him in?
Well, we're just trying to get as much information as we can on him. You know, he's kind of, in our eyes, it's like recruiting a junior college defensive lineman. And if you're going to recruit somebody from junior college ranks, you should be recruiting them to come to play, not to just serve a role as a backup. So we're trying to figure out if he can be that guy for us. Again, we're in helmets right now, so we're trying to get information. We'll get a lot more information on his role there once we put the pads on and full pads, and he's got to take on all the different blocks. But he's got a great demeanor for being a defensive player. He's a hard-nosed, tough, blue-collar type guy. Obviously, his size is his best attribute at 6'5", almost 280 pounds. And he's a different body type than what we have with our other guys.
He's already playing the freshman, especially on defense, kind of a couple of different areas, special teams and defense. Is that kind of you're trying to get them everywhere you can possibly? Or?
It's going to be a real focus of ours for about 2 weeks of playing our freshmen, really playing our threes more than we ever have in training camp in our previous 5 years. And part of that is initially early on in our years, I don't know if we even had threes, and now it's because of the depth that we've built up. That we're able to do that, and we're trying to keep our ones not having to take so many and keeping them fresh, and it looks great. We're rolling all the guys through. We got a really good 3 deep going on both sides of the ball, and it's been effective.
How do you coach guys like Austin and Kaysen to overcome incidents that happened and not let that define them?
Well, I remind them of that they're 20 years old. I remind them that other people around the world and for over time have made mistakes, and they're not the only ones. And that it doesn't have to define them. How they respond to it, almost more so than anything, is what will define them. And I just try to be a positive influence on their life. I want to make sure that they know that they can trust me, because with trust comes honesty, and with honesty comes a really good relationship where I can help develop them as young men. And that's part of my job, and this is a developmental process. To think that we inherit kids from all walks of life at 17, 18 years old, and to treat them as if they're a professional athlete, knowing all the answers to life, it isn't fair to them. This is about the process of developing them so that when they're done here and when they go into our society, that they have a positive influence on our society, and that's part of my job.
Are either player playing with more of a chip on their shoulder, like they have something to prove now?
No, I don't. I think they're doing what they always do. They're competing, they're working hard, they're being accountable, but that's who they are. So I don't think that they've tried even harder on the football field. They're doing what they do to the best of their ability, so that's what it is.
Casey talked about having kind of tunnel vision heading into the season. Is that kind of maybe a good thing for him to have?
I think all of our guys, we talk about that as the season comes for our entire team. And to me, it's about focus. It's about focusing on the task at hand. It's about learning from yesterday and focusing on today and preparing for tomorrow. And so I think that his way of saying it, that he has television, is that he's just focused on the task at hand, and that's playing football.
It sounds like there's a point where you're going to make a decision whether to keep Hudson or move him back.
Yeah, we are. I'm going to, hopefully, I want to get through next Tuesday's scrimmage. And when we get to Tuesday scrimmage and we really can give him every look that we have, all the different blocking schemes and pass protection, just really see him play, it'll be really clear to me. Even if we keep him, Jerry, on the defensive side of the ball, he'll have some sort of a role on offense. Could be in our goal line packages, short yardage packages, where we can still utilize him. He's a very bright guy. I think he could handle that. But if we don't keep him there and move him back, then you'd obviously have a bigger role on offense. But I feel good about our tight end position right now. Obviously, Austin's doing his thing. Michael Harvickson, Josh Perkins, David Ajamu's done some nice stuff for us here the first couple practices. And then, with the ability that Sam Wu Ching provides us, he's not just your traditional fullback. He's a guy that can play some inline tight end when we go to 2 tight end sets, as well as be a fullback in the backfield. So we got pretty good depth there. But we'll make a really clear-cut decision on Evan probably here in about a week.
Steve, Travis Feeney out there running around.
That was a heck of an interception he made today. I mean, he's just that really athletic guy. You know, he's so long. He can really run. You know, he and Shaq playing outside backer for you, two pretty good guys when you're facing all these teams that we're playing. But Travis, it's good to have him back. You know, we didn't have him all spring. To have him back now doing what he's doing, it makes a difference for us for sure.
Looks like Ross and Stringfellow have been getting a lot of reps in these early parts of training camp. How are they doing?
They're doing really well. I mean, John Ross, you know, I mean, he had 2 or 3 really big plays yesterday. Came back today with another 2 or 3 really big plays. He's got a great feel for the game. Stringfellow and Darrell Daniels are both playing the same amount of time, and those guys are getting a lot of work, a lot of reps. And they're big, strong, physical guys, and so you know I've been impressed with all those guys. You know, I think that what we thought we were getting when we signed, we're starting to figure out that, you know, we're getting what we thought we were getting, and those guys will, you know, hopefully 1, 2, or 3 of them will be playing a role for us here this fall.
How good of a feeling is that to know that it's kind of shaping up to look like you're getting the guys you thought you were?
Well, it's great, you know, and especially in this offense and going at the tempo that we're going at, we're going to have to play more guys. We can't just line up with the same 2 receivers down after down at the pace that we're working at. So to know that we have that depth behind Kaysen and Kevin and DeAndre and then Jadon and Kendall and that these guys, it's really cool to see when one guy runs a deep route and has to come off the field, the next guy on looks very similar, if not even more talented.
Your point, Steve, about this being a developmental process for 18, 19, 20-year-olds, how much did that take being a head coach for you to realize that and learn through that?
You know, I had a pretty good feeling of it when I took the job. You know, obviously, I had a great mentor in Pete Carroll, and we dealt with a lot of our own issues at SC for the 7 years I was there. And Pete takes a great approach when it comes to dealing with players who have issues off the field, and all of them are different. Every individual is different, and how you work with them to develop them, and is what I learned, you know. And the hard part for me in all of this, Greg, is when you work with a kid and he makes a mistake. You work with him, you try to mentor him, and he makes another mistake, and then you work with him, they make another mistake. Then at what point do you have to cut ties? And that's when it's hard, because in your own right as a head coach, you feel like you fail. And you feel like you failed as parents and him and the whole thing, and that's probably the hardest part of it all. But when it's an isolated incident and you get a chance to get even closer to a kid and to work with them, I like those opportunities, quite honestly. And I think it forges even a stronger bond between you and that individual player, as well as our team, because I think the team knows what I'm doing with those guys and trying to help them.